Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. So,
Great. Thank
yeah,
you for the link.
everything is, yes, everything is okay. Um, I received a notice that I have to, my credit card was expiring, so I added the new one, and hopefully, um, uh, it will be active
Okay.
starting now. So,
Oh, good. You're recording?
yes, I'm
Oh,
recording.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
And I
good.
will send it to Sarah after we finish, and the Hossam, the video editor and digital. Um, I don't know. He's not a digital marketeer. He creates content, so the content creator will edit it and post it online. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'll have to upload the other ones to YouTube. I haven't gotten around to doing that. My computer has some issues, and
Uh,
yeah, it had to be defragmented last week. It took all night to,
yeah.
to run.
Yeah.
Good. Oh,
Okay. So let's relax and wait until everyone join us.
yeah. Mm. You can remove that one from the meeting. That fireflies.
This one.
Yeah, that one. That fireflies. That's just an AI that takes notes to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could
Okay.
take
You don't need it.
no, I don't need that one.
Okay.
Hello, Professor. Good morning.
Morning. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera on here. Should have some more people joining soon. I don't see anyone. No one has left any messages that they weren't going to be on. So
Mansoor, you have some noise in the background. Yes, you noticed. Okay, good. Good morning, Mansoor. How are you?
Good morning, Professor. How are you?
I'm
Sorry.
doing fine. No, it's okay. It's okay.
good morning, Sarah. Let's give it another 3 minutes. Then we'll get started. Good. Good morning, Samia.
Good morning, Professor.
All right.
Sorry if you hear my birds chirping in the back end.
Oh, I think it's not too loud. It's okay.
Thank you.
We'll give Rhoda another couple of minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about the arguing to persuade, but of course, I always like to make sure we're all on the same page here. So it looks like you've been getting through all of that, those first 2 weeks of content, so that's good. We're a little bit behind, so it's good that everyone's starting to get caught up. So here's some of the things that I think we still need to get caught up on. That your week 3 assignment, and this was an essay engaging the writing process. Okay, and then go in and make sure you respond to that discussion post. Okay, because those are graded assignments, so you want to make sure you're doing that. And then we have the week 4, arguing serious issues. Okay, and then there's also a writing assignment here as well. Address opposing arguments. And then last week's lecture, of course, was I'm sorry, the discussion for this week is a persuasive argument. And then there's the reading for this week, chapter 11. So the lecture will be coming from chapter 11 today. And then just to kind of read ahead and to be working ahead, the next discussion topic is evaluating. And then that is coming from chapter 12. So we're doing a lot of work out of this engaging questions book in these current weeks, but we will be going back to the Connect Composition Essentials Handbook as well when you start to get into the actual writing process more. So any questions on this? I think that going forward, we'll probably just have the discussions. I'm not going to have any more writing assignments because you're going to be working on your essays and meeting with your mentor, either Dr. Awaad or myself. And I'm going to add to Moodle where you can go in and then you can indicate that you were able to meet that week. And of course, if it's not any, it's beyond your control. If it's so happens that Dr. Awaad or I have to be absent for that scheduled meeting, and then you can just go ahead and count that week as well. So only if you have to miss it and it wasn't something that we had caused you to do, you can still get credit for that. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to. I'll keep the discussions in there so that we can have a weekly graded assignment, and the discussions are. I think they're rigorous enough. They're challenging your skills and the knowledge that you're gaining from your reading. So I don't think I need to add any essays or anything like that to that, since you're going to be doing a whole lot of writing in the background. Okay, I think that's fair. Is that okay with everyone? Is that agreeable?
Professor.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and start it. If someone wanted to go ahead and reach out to Rhodas in WhatsApp, that would be great. Just kind of see if she's available. Okay.
Yes, I'll text her, Professor.
Thank you.
Usually she will be coming from work, so
Oh, that's right.
and we are recording, so it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so arguing to persuade. This is where we're going to really get into the essence of the thesis. Okay, so arguing to persuade belongs to the ancient discipline of rhetoric, established by the Greek philosopher Aristotle about 2,500 years ago. The purpose of rhetoric, he said, was to discover the available means of persuasion in any given case. So that's quite a broad statement. So what do you think he means by that? It's just gonna be thinking about that in the background. I'll go ahead and read some of these other highlighted points. But think about what he means by this: to discover the available means of persuasion in any given case. So, all right. So we began to practice rhetoric as children. So when we persuaded our friends to play one game rather than another, or when we worked on our parents to persuade them to buy something we wanted. So that's very true, right? We began to practice this art of persuasion. I get to learn very early that we can persuade others to do something that we want them to do. Persuasion plays a major role in personal and family life, in business, and in the community. Okay, so going back to what I was asking you, this statement by Aristotle, he says the purpose of rhetoric is to discover the available means of persuasion in any given case. So, someone want to give me an example of that? How are you understanding that statement? What does that mean to you when you see that, when you read that? Have you ever had to persuade someone to do something? Let's give an example. Okay, well, as you're thinking about that, and you can just speak up there when it comes to you, okay? Okay, what is persuasion? Okay, so advertising is one of the most common examples of moving people to action. And I think we talked about this before, right? And it is true. That's, they will make you think you want something that you didn't even know existed, or you didn't know that you had this need until you see this advertisement on this product. We can learn a great deal about persuasion by studying advertisers' creative use of persuasive appeals, both verbal and visual, to market their product to targeted audiences. So that's very important too, right? When we're persuading someone, you can't persuade everyone to do something, and because your argument or this thing that you're trying to persuade them to do, maybe they don't even care. It just isn't something that matters to them. So that wouldn't be the correct or a good targeted audience for that particular topic that you're trying, or this thing that you're trying to persuade them to do. Persuasion asks us to do something: spend money, give money, join a demonstration, recycle, vote, enlist, convict, or acquit. So did you ever think that when you're looking at a trial, that the defense lawyers and the prosecutors, they are practicing the art of persuasion, and that is what they're doing. They are trying to persuade the jurors and the judge to some degree to accept their point of view based on evidence and in other things that they are presenting. So okay, so like convincing people to change their perspective on an issue, persuading them to take action for a cause also involves providing reasons and evidence for doing something. Okay, so we talked about that in last week's lecture as well, this reasons and evidence. Okay. Anyone have any questions on this so far? And they need to go back and review.
So, Professor, persuasion, if we say, okay, that it could be for financial benefit and me pushing my kids for studying hard and getting good grades, and then eventually get into a job which pays them well. So yeah, at the end of the day, it goes towards financial, but it could be like for the other benefits that they are, for their spiritual benefit or religious benefit. I push them, okay, you need to follow certain rituals at home so that you are following the same path as us. So I mean, it could be like it could be for non-financial benefit as well, correct?
Correct. Very good. Yes. Yes. So that's where the reasons, right? Reasons and evidence, could be anything. So you want to teach your children, for example, that if they follow the precepts of their religion, that they're going to have more positive benefits than they will have negative benefits. And the evidence that you provide is maybe from your own life. You give them an example, and maybe you can give them statistics. Because even now, statistics show that people who have some kind of spiritual basis in belief tend to fare better in a lot of different situations. It's just something that is supported by the evidence. A lot of research has gone into it. So very good. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, good. Thank you, Samia. That's good.
Yeah, Professor. So it can also happen in our daily works and job, because yeah, when I'm working as a procurement official, so I usually deal with suppliers. So within the negotiation process, we tend to persuade each other to make a deal. So either we persuade the supplier, or the supplier tries to persuade us to make the deal happen.
Yes, very good. Yes, yes. I have also worked in roles where I was involved in procurement, and we would do submit requests for bids and quotes. And yeah, there is a lot of persuasion that goes back and forth, like have you said, that it goes two ways, where you're trying to persuade them, and in turn they're trying to persuade you, so that it's a so-called win-win situation, right? So very good. And going back to my example of the defense and prosecutors, when they have reached a certain verdict, sometimes or even before the jurors come to a verdict, sometimes they will try to negotiate another type of term, so if they see that it's not going to be beneficial for either side, then they try to negotiate a lighter sentence or something, other that the other might accept. And it's interesting to watch that. I like to watch some of those shows that cover that. It just fascinates me. I don't have the intellectual, prowess to pursue law, but I do like to watch the examples of these individuals. They're very, very clever. So they're good. Good. Anyone else? Any comments on that? A time where you've observed persuasion, or you had to persuade someone to do something?
Well, there is a book called Never Split the Difference. It's a very interesting book. I listened to it a couple of years ago, and it was written by a hostage negotiator.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very famous, and even I remember his last name is Vox, Vox, I believe. I don't remember the first name.
Oh.
So it's really interesting, and he refers it to everything in life is negotiation, because we are exchanging ideas, favors, in personal life, in at work, even if you are talking to a friend. So this exchange includes some sort of negotiation. So when we started to talk about rhetoric and persuasion, negotiation came to my mind. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Professor,
Yeah.
I was also thinking the same. So, Professor Hanan mentioned it all. I believe our day to day life is persuasion. There's persuasion in every step of the way, even at home,
Mm.
as Samia mentioned, with our children, and at the workplace, even here, when we
Mhm.
are learning, there's some sort of negotiation. So in every step of the way, I believe there's some sort of negotiation and persuasion as well. Yes,
Yep.
I meant persuasion. Yes, yes.
Very good. Yes, that's very true. You know, when I was doing my PhD work, my doctoral work, you know, we have curriculum as well as the research that we do, and I had received a grade, and we had to take I had to take 4 advanced statistics courses, you know, during that program, and that was that was tough enough. But and for one of the courses, I received a grade, and when I went back and we calculated the work, and I think some of you have done the same thing here with Windsor. It didn't add up, and I thought, well, wait a minute, that isn't right. So I argued that statistically, and using a play on words, that the grade didn't add up, and yeah, I was able to get my grade changed to a higher grade for that course. So yeah, so we are practicing the art of persuasion in almost everything that we do, and that is very, very true. And sometimes it's just implicit, you know, and it's not explicit, right? What you don't even have to use words, like they say, they use images in advertisements. They don't have to say anything. The image is there to persuade you and to tell the story. Hollywood, Walt Disney made very famous these storyboards, and before, you know, they started to go to regular screenplays and scripts, they just told an entire story with these storyboards. The famous mystery writer and mystery movie producer and director Alfred Hitchcock did the same. Just use images, and then the images, you know, would tell the story. So you can do a lot just with images, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, so good. So just keep those things in mind. So you everyone is understanding this whole concept of persuasion, and how you have to present the reasons and the evidence. So good. This is very, very good. You keep that in mind as you're writing. You know, that is what your intention is to do, is to persuade your reader to accept your argument. Okay, good. That's good. All right. Why write to persuade? Persuasion brings about change in the world, whether in national or local politics, in neighborhoods, on campus, in the workplace, or in personal relationships. For example, persuasion sways elected officials to favor one policy over another, includes and induces people and nations to resolve conflicts peacefully rather than by violent means, affects business decisions of all kinds, including how to promote a product or service, influences college officials who set tuition rates and housing costs on campus. Okay, so another kind of writing has more practical impact. All right, so that's I highlighted that one in red. So that's something that I want you to think about. And then, of course, it concludes by, if you want to make a difference in the larger world or your own community, learning how to persuade other people is the key. So you're going to be practicing the skill that you already have, you know, but you're going to learn to perfect it by the end of this class. And this is a skill that you're going to be able to take with you, and you can use, as we've all said here, anywhere. You can use it for anything. Let's say you want to go down to your local community meeting and talk to the city council people or the mayor or any local officials who are making decisions for your community, and you want to persuade them that a decision that they are going to make is really going to have a negative impact on the community. So you will, the skills that you learn here in writing that thesis is going to be able to be used beyond obtaining that MBA and beyond just in the workplace, but everywhere. You can use it everywhere. It's just a great skill to have. Okay, so just remember that it's going to be well worth your time to perfect that skill. Okay. Any questions on this? Just why right to persuade? You want to have any comments on that? Okay, I think we did a pretty good job touching on that. So let's see what we have. How do writers persuade? So here we go. We're going to get into these three kinds of appeal by Aristotle. So getting people to take action requires more than good reasoning. Okay, Aristotle identified three kinds of appeal: legos, or appealing to reason or logic, and then ethos, or appealing to the character of the speaker. Okay, and pathos, or appealing to the emotions of the listener. Okay, so this so legos, ethos, pathos. All right, and those are these three appeals. So let's see if we can let's see if I can come up with a good example for legos. So let's say that you want to convince a political official that if they drill for oil in this particular area, they are going to kill a bunch of species because they are going to rely on a habitat that's going to have to be destroyed in order to commence this drilling for the oil. It is going to have this cascading effect on the environment. So you're appealing to their the pathos also. You're hoping that they have some emotional connection to that, but you also are appealing by logic because you know that there's a certain species that feeds here, and there are other species who feeds on that one, and then as the food chain happens, if they kill off that particular one, and then it's going to have a negative impact. And then you can go back and look at some of the examples, like with the polar bears not being able to get to food. They use the ice, because the ice is melting. They can't get to the seals, and so now they're coming into the neighborhoods of a lot of the communities in Canada and Alaska. Or you can look at how they killed off the coyotes and the wolves because they were eating cattle, and then by doing that, they caused the deer population and the wild pig population in places like California and the United States to just explode because they no longer had their natural predators, and so they tried to reintroduce it and trying to come back and do it after the fact. Never works quite well. So that's one argument. Let's say appealing to the character to the character of the speaker. So and then ethos is the word ethics comes derives from that as well. So you want to talk about something that they might consider to be an ethical argument for them. And of course, pathos, we can come up with a lot of different examples for that. We so how people are impacted by all kinds of policies, and then we show the results. And most people care about, the well-being of other people. So that's always a strong argument to show how it negatively impacts people, sometimes who very, very serious outcomes. When people are starving to death, in some cases, or disease is spreading so rapidly that it's just decimating an entire population. Okay, so any examples of that? Anyone else want to give their example of these three kinds of appeals? Does this make sense? Is everyone understanding what these are saying? Is if one that's not clear, then yeah, let's talk about that. So let's see if we can get some better examples than what I've offered.
Well, I'd like to add something about the ethos. Usually they say people will approve what matches their priorities or values. So like you mentioned, advertisement and marketing, and the first step is to understand the customer. So as writers, also we need to understand the audience that we are writing for. So, for example, you mentioned something about sustainability and the ecosystem and the balance in the ecosystem. Because I have been in the field of sustainability for quite some time, and environmental management system. Sometimes our argument doesn't appeal to people who focus only on business results. And it's sometimes very, very tricky and difficult to understand their priorities and their values, so you can include it in your writing.
Very good. Yes, very good. That's an excellent example. Yes. So as you were speaking there, I was thinking about how that's very true. That sometimes if they don't care, they think that the fact that they can drill in this particular area and make trillions of dollars, not just billions but trillions, of dollars. They just look at what they can accomplish, with that money, and so they don't. They say, yeah, it's worth the it's what do they call this, collateral, damage, as far as they're concerned. It's worth the sacrifice to do that, and so it doesn't really appeal to their ethics, their ethos. So very, very good. Thank you, Dr. Awaad. Yep. Yeah. Everyone get that? Is that clear to everyone? Is that it is? Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Okay. So go ahead here. I think I have a video coming up. Yeah. There we go. Let's take a look at this video.
How do you persuade someone to see things your way? The Greek philosopher Aristotle had some good ideas on how to persuade people. Among his most powerful techniques were what he called the three appeals, designed to ask an audience to believe his argument. Aristotle called these three appeals ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos appeals to the audience by asking them to trust the person making the argument. Pathos appeals to the audience's emotions, asking them to believe because they care. Logos appeals to the audience's sense of logic and rationality, asking them to believe because the argument makes sense. Using the appeals can make your writing or speaking more persuasive, and if you can spot them when they're being used or misused by others, you can also protect yourself against manipulation. Let's examine the 3 appeals more closely. First up, ethos. One way to win over a skeptical audience is to convince them that you're trustworthy, knowledgeable, and well-meaning. You can build ethos by referencing relevant experience, by explaining your credentials, or even by using good sources to show that you know your subject. When presenting, dressing and speaking professionally will boost your audience's confidence in you. When writing, making sure your documents have a professional tone and are error-free can also enhance your ethos. Next, we'll address pathos, the appeal to emotion. Many popular movies, books, and songs appeal to emotion. These appeals often engage positive emotions like joy or hope, but other times... No, please. Pathos can engage negative emotions as well. However, in academic writing, a simple tug on the heartstrings won't suffice. To use pathos effectively, incorporate vivid imagery and intentionally emotional and impactful adjectives and verbs. Academics can support their arguments most effectively with logos, an appeal to logic and rationality, by building an argument with facts, figures, and well-thought-out reasoning. By appealing to the audience with logic, you draw your conclusions as rational, rendering the opposition less persuasive, sometimes even as irrational. Not all conclusions are easy to prove, though, and the responsibility falls on you to make the case and convince the audience. While many arguments rely on 1 or 2 of these methods, some of the most effective use a combination of all 3. The most important aspect of persuasive writing is to create a credible line of thought for your message that audiences will follow. If you do it carefully, they very well might arrive at the same conclusion. For more information on persuasive writing and speaking, visit our website at writingcenter.tamu.edu.
Okay, so, all right, so then based on that video, which of the 3 appeals do you think that your thesis, your MBA thesis, your master's thesis is going to be focused on? Which of the 3 appeals do you think you're going to have more content based on that particular appeal?
So, Professor, more of a question than comment, then that we have to use all 3 as a combination to have a compelling and well-rounded argument, or we have to select just one strategy?
Yes. So you want to have a combination of all 3. Which one? That's one that will dominate in academic writing. They implied it in the video. In fact, I think he actually said it. Which one do you think it would be?
So I think I will try to use all to have a compelling and well-rounded argument, as I'm thinking that, because ethos, it seems it's established the speaker's credibility and trustworthiness towards the audience, and where the logo, the video presenting, it provides the logical reasoning and proper evidence which we need for each of our topic, I believe. And then the pathos, it seems it's like really, I mean, I think it's hard for to really have emotions involved when there is professional professors like you reviewing our documents, but pathos is also somewhere there that it gives it connects my writing to the audience, whoever is reading. So I think would be balancing all 3 to be able to have a better document, which is like which is well-rounded in my argument.
Okay, so that is true in most situations, and you will definitely have portions of your paper that are going to have this well-roundedness to it. In academic writing, you're going to lean more towards the legos, and I'll explain why. And it's because you have to present this evidence, and you have to present all of this literature to support what you're saying. You're going to appeal to the reader, and you're going to support that with a lot of quantitative data. So quantitatively, you're going to have it's going to lean more towards Legos. And so you're absolutely right. You want to have, so the qualitative part of your research is going to be more focused on Legos and pathos. Okay, so good.
So, but Professor, one question again. I mean, I know I feel that logos is more important to have that evidence involved in my document, but also the presentation of my document is like which goes towards ethos, that how it's actually looking. That matters, right? I mean,
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it does. I mean, because without one, it's going to be difficult to persuade.
right. Okay, so my understanding is that we'll be using more ethos and logos, right?
You will be using a lot of logos in your paper. You will in the parts of your paper where you are presenting your argument, it's going to be pathos and ethos. Okay, but because you have to present evidence, the evidence is the Legos, and in academic writing, it has to be heavy on the evidence, because we want to support our arguments with yes, Rhodas.
I think actually depends on what kind of research you're doing. So for the ethos and logos, we might use them in maybe. I mean, for the pathos, we might use it in a case study examples. So we might use pictures so that we can connect with the audience. So in my undergrad thesis, I was doing my thesis on sports, or what do you call, sports plays for physically disabled people. So I used some pictures on when I was doing a literature review. I saw a research paper done on different case studies, and they used pictures to show how people with disabilities used their five senses to move around a space, or to visualize a space, to feel a space. So we can actually use that. So it really depends on what kind of title we have, or what kind of problem we're working on. Yes. That's it from my side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. So that's very true. So you had to use visual images to show people. Okay. Showing is better than telling, right? And that's what they say it is in a lot of types of presentations. So this is true. But when you go back and again, I'm talking specifically in academic writing, it's because of the way the academy, and academics is designed. It really is. If you go back and look at your thesis, even your undergraduate thesis, you will see that a lot of your ethos and pathos is supported by evidence, and that your evidence, your pictures are not your evidence. Your evidence is where you've proved that by research literature and documentation, this is actually true. These pictures are representing something that is a fact based on this evidence that you can present. And so it really is going to be the greater part of your thesis. It's just a fact. I mean, I'm not saying that we won't be using that. And you're right, you will have more pathos or ethos based on the type of argument that you're presenting. That is very, very true. And in fact, you're going to have even more Legos based on the type of argument that you're trying to do. But in academic writing, it is going to be heavy on the Legos because you have to present that something that is measurable and that quantitative.
Yes, yes, Professor, I understand.
This was good. No, this was very good. I'm glad that you and Samia wrote this, and Samia, you're spoken up that month. So, did you have anything to add to that? I mean, I'm sure you've seen these two different sides, and in fact, we're practicing the art of persuasion right now, right? So did you have anything to add to that one, sir, that you want to?
Yes, Professor. I agree that logos can be more important because with logos we can provide our reason and we can say that why we are writing about this, why we are arguing this, why we are making this argument. So with that, we can identify a problem and provide solutions. So I think that logos can support us with that. And ethos and pathos also can play a supportive role in presenting logos. And main topic of the thesis or our topic, the main topic of our thesis. So I believe that logos can be more important.
Okay, so then this is a very good discussion that we're having here. So let me give you two examples. Okay, one is in advertising. So in advertising, which of the three appeals do you think would be dominant in advertising?
Professor, I think advertising usually go with pathos because they want to play with the emotions of the audience to persuade them to make decisions or purchase the items are advertised.
Very good. Okay, so and I think that's very true, and it can be ethos as well, right? It's not going to be logos. Because they don't want people to think, and because once you start to think, then you will persuade yourself that I don't need that product. Is usually the outcome, because you can think of a whole lot of logical reasons not to spend money on a product. But so they are really using more ethos and pathos in advertising, and very little Legos, if any.
So yes, it's different than the writing thesis, right?
Correct. So correct. So in academics, we do the opposite. Okay. So so that's one, and the other is political campaigns. So what do you think they focus on in political campaigns? Pathos, ethos, or logos?
Well, again, I think ethos and pathos play the most role. I think more like ethos, because a character or leader, the speaker is the leader, or they want to make a character that the audience can follow. And also, yes, they also want to play with the emotions of the people to follow the leader.
Yes, so they want to present themselves as the subject matter expert on that thing. They are the expert. They're the person that you can go to for just this particular thing, that so ethos plays a huge part in political campaigns. So very, very good. I think we're coming up close to our break here. Okay, here's this a little triangle here, a little visual. The writer's ethos, the audience pathos, and the message is logos. Okay, so that's a good visual image to think about, and we will be getting to that one after our break. So I didn't put my break slide in there. So, but oh, it is. I went past it. Okay, good. Yeah, good. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back at 10 Eastern. Okay, and so good participation. I really like that. So I'll see you in 10 minutes. All right. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. All right. Good first half. I really like that the discussion. That's really good. So excellent work. Let's go ahead and so let's look at this. Okay, good. So this is a good visual, right? Based on the discussions that we just had just before the break. So let's take a look at this and notice how it has you're the writer, and then in parentheses it says ethos. So let's talk about each one of these real quick. So why does this diagram identify the writers by the appeal ethos?
Sorry, Professor, what was
Why
your
does
question?
this diagram here appeal to you, the writer, as ethos?
Okay.
This is the ethos of this diagram. Why is that?
Because I think it goes towards the writer, how the writer is actually presenting their content towards their audience. So it all goes towards the presentation by the writer.
Okay. And does it exactly? And what else does the video say about ethos? What does that represent in the individual?
The character of the writer.
Right. The character of the writer, yes. And Mansoor, you were going to say?
So if he or she is reliable or not?
Yes. Correct. All three of you are correct. So that's right. So you are the expert. So you are presenting yourself as the subject matter expert. When you're writing your thesis, you are the expert on that topic at that point in time. But you're going to rely on the research of other experts in the field to support your argument. But when we started reading your thesis, and this is with doctoral dissertations and even with the undergraduate thesis, you are taking on this ethos role. We are looking at you as a reliable source on this topic. We have this respect. It as Rhoda say, it's the character of the writer. We're looking at your character, and you're being presented as this authority figure, if you will, on this particular topic. Okay, so good, very good. So then as we move here, and we look at audience, now they have audience identified on the pathos. So why is that? So it goes from the writer to the audience, so people who you are appealing to the audience. So again, so why is this pathos here associated with the audience?
Because I think pathos is actually is the appeal to the emotions and feelings of the audience. So it's basically aims in creating that emotional connection with the content we are sharing with the audience.
Very good. Yep. Very good. Excellent. Anyone else?
So yes, Professor, the argument is written for the audience, and that's why we want them to be comfortable, and we want them to be a proper argument or a reliable argument for them to look at and to read.
Very good. Very good. Yep. So one of my favorite quotes, and I've used it several times in my courses here at Windsor, but my favorite one of my favorite quotes is, "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care," and that is very, very true with any type of a thesis. So as Samuel was saying earlier, we want to make sure we have these components in there. So let's move over here, and it says the message is logos. The message. So why does the message have to be? Why is that being associated here with the logos? Why does the message have to fall into this logos appeal category? Why do you think that is?
Because I think we also need, even though it's like connecting well with the audiences and it's like very well written and really presenting well, we need to have the evidence of all the content we are sharing with the audience.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Because as Dr. Awaad said earlier, sometimes, my favorite quote is in reverse with some people, right? They don't really care how much you care until they know how much you know. And so that's so we have to present that as well. So absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Yep. So this is a very good diagram. I highly recommend that you copy this or keep it with you or make a visual of it so that you can refer to that. And as you're building your thesis, you can look at your content and make sure that you are, you're the writer. Are you presenting yourself as an authority on this? Because this is your chance to shine when you're writing your thesis. So this is where people get to notice you, and they pay attention to you, and you are establishing yourself as an authority on this topic. Okay. And then, of course, you want to make sure that your content is covering this pathos, because, as Mansoor said, we're writing for the audience. And then, as Samia just indicated, we have to have this supporting evidence, the logos. Okay. So I really like that diagram. So good, very good. So let's get into this a little more. The art of questioning. So now we began this course talking about questions, right? And here we are again. So what really persuades us? Think about that for a minute. Many people say they are persuaded only by reasons and evidence. Okay, that is logos matters most. All right, and so as I said that in academics, we lean heavy on this. We do, but Aristotle thought that ethos might be more powerful. Okay, if we think that a writer is intelligent, well-informed, and trustworthy, and has genuine concern for our needs, we tend to believe most of what that person says. So that is a very powerful statement. That is something to really think about. So here, so we go back to our, let me go back to the previous slide again, and there it is. All right. According to Aristotle, this is the most important part. Okay. Okay. So good. So then all ads appeal to emotions and attitudes most of all. And then here, what do you think? Consider the last important decision you made. How did you persuade yourself to do one thing rather than another? If someone tried to persuade you, what kinds of appeal did the person use? Which of these appeals had the most impact on the decision you made? So think about that for a minute. And you know, we've all have been in this situation before. As Rhoda's mentioned, this is just an everyday occurrence, right? It's inescapable. We're going to find ourselves at some impasse or crossroads at some point where we have to make a decision. If you have to choose between good, better, and best, right? Even if it's good, there's a better and there's a best, and the choices that we make, and they're not all bad. So some good choices are better than others, and among those, there's a best choice that we can make. So just think about that. What did you persuade yourself to do? How did you persuade yourself to do one thing rather than another? So what logos that you use or pathos that you use on yourself to make a decision? Just think of anything that you had to do. You're shopping and then you had a budget and you decided to buy this over that. How did you arrive at that decision?
So very recent example, Professor. We went to Lowe's to get some some paintings and all, as I'm doing some renovations in my house as Diwali coming. We went and we bought paints for my room, my office room, and entrance and all. But while we were leaving from the store, we saw a refrigerator on a very good discounted price. That usually you get this refrigerator of KitchenAid in $5,000, but here it was on the sale for $1,100. And me, my family, we were like looking at this, and it's like very, very tempting, because it's like very organized refrigerator having lots of drawers. And so we kept standing there. We asked the staff. Then they eventually said that no, this is not something you can get delivery on. So it was like little disappointing, but I think my husband was like too much into it. So he went other day morning to Lowe's and then spoke to one other lady who's a good customer care executive, and she arranged the delivery for us. And then we were like, we got it finally. And we were laughing that, okay, we went just to buy paints and then we actually bought refrigerator.
Yes, that's a very good example. So there's a couple of things here. Who here has worked in retail? Who has worked in retail? Retail sales. I know, so you do procurement, and that's close. But who has worked in retail, where you were responsible for selling items and you got a commission? Anyone here have a kind of experience? Okay, so I did this.
Sorry for interrupting, Professor. I work for, I think, a family business. I was there 2 weeks, so it's more of we don't have receipts or.
Okay, so repeat yourself, Rhoda. It was hard to hear you.
Going back home, so can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Professor?
And it's really difficult. Oh, yes, not kidding. That's better. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So if it's clear, there was a family business. It's not a formal business, but we used to sell honey. If that's an example. If that can be an example.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want me to give an example of issues that's okay. So I was selling these honey in my office. So using buckets of 1 kilo, and it was very expensive to some of them, and some were willing to buy. So you know what I did? I took 3 pieces of buckets and gave them. So other people saw and ordered more. And some said, we're not willing to take it, but because they opened it already, they had to buy it. So maybe this can be one example.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's product placement, right? So the physical placement of a product. I wanted to go back to Samya's a story that she shared with us, and she says as they were leaving, they saw this refrigerator, and so the retailer was very strategic in the placement of that product. We used to do this. I worked in sporting goods years ago before I went into wireless telecom engineering, and one of the things that we would do is we would have they have these doorbusters, right? These products where they don't really generate a whole lot of revenue for the store, but they bring people in, and you strategically place that product where you want them to buy the more revenue generating products, and it's very effective. And another thing that in retail, when it's raining or there's bad weather outside, sales go up because people tend to want to do indoor activities. And so again, retailers will plan for that, and they will arrange things based on where people are. So you go into a store, and they have these end caps, or they have these products right at their cash register. That's for impulse buying. They know that a person will see that, and they'll buy it. And a lot of times they'll have some similar products in further back in the store at a better price, but they'll put these higher price impulse buying products there in front because they say, oh, you're leaving. Oh, well, I want the gum. So you'll just grab this gum because it's convenient. You're standing there, you're in line, you're a captive audience because you're behind the person who might be taking a little longer, and you see this, and then you reach out, you grab the gum, and you buy it. But there could be actually cheaper gum somewhere in the store. It's yeah. So that's very good. That's great examples. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Lotus, for those. Those are really good examples of how we make these decisions, and we convince ourselves that we have to have this thing, and so I love how you say you just went there. You guys were there to do groceries, and then you ended up buying a refrigerator. So good, very good, good examples. Okay, good. Let's go to here. So how do we write persuasively, engaging the writing process? So let's get into some actual how to, since this is a course that's based on you writing your thesis, we need to make sure we get into this part of it, right? So nevertheless, okay, so no two people compose or appeal for action in exactly the same way. And even the same person may go through the writing process in different ways for different projects. That is so true. I go back and I look at my doctoral dissertation. There are some theories that I used in that dissertation that people don't even use today in the field of e-learning and instructional design. They just, people don't even talk about them anymore. So they're quite antiquated, and I've moved away from a lot of those, so that they've evolved into something else. So a lot of the concepts are the same, but it's evolved. just the field has changed. Technology has changed the way we can deliver learning, and people are focused on different things. We have AI now. There's just all of these different variables involved in instructional design and e-learning development. So, yeah. Okay. So, nevertheless, because no one can attend, excuse me, can attend everything at once, there are phases in handling any significant writing task. So, you explore the topic. So they have that highlighted here. To get a sense of whether it will work for you, and excuse me, and what you might be able to do with it. If the topic is working out for you, then you move into preparing to write, generating more content, and planning your draft. So good. So this is talking about the process. This is really good. Okay. And then the next phase is drafting your paper, getting a version, however rough it may be. Don't worry about that up front. It's not going to be perfect, the very first draft. Just, very, very few writers will have a perfect draft, and then that's, their first time out, and they're happy with it, and then, you're good to go. It's extremely rare. So however rough it may be, on screen or paper so that you can work toward the final draft. Getting there involves two further phases, okay? Revising your draft, revise, where you make major improvements in it, followed by editing your draft, taking care of errors, sentences that do not read well, paragraphs lacking focus and flow, and so on. So this, that's excellent. I like how they've explained this process. Is this clear? Good. Very good. Thank you. So is there anything new here that you hadn't thought about before in the writing process? Any revelations here for you? Okay. All right. So exploring your topic. The following questions will help you delve into your topic and begin writing about it. Okay. So let's look at these. What do you want your readers to do? Okay. So because right out of the gate, number one, what do you want your readers to do? So we're not just writing, because we're writing. We are really your thesis is a call to action. Okay, so what do you want your writers to do? You'll be thinking about that. Who are your readers? And we talked about that. We talked about audience, right? So you have to make sure that you're writing to the audience who cares, and then you want to make sure that you are including content that they care about. Describe them as specifically as you can. What about them will be relevant to your argument? Consider age, religion, income bracket, occupation, political orientation, education, and gender. So we get back to, so let's look at number 2 here because we talked about political arguments, right? And politics. A lot of times, they have these survey polls, and they'll have these opinion polls, and they'll talk about how well a candidate is doing. Well, a lot of times those polls are not really conducted by an independent, third party. They're really conducted by someone who has a vested interest in that particular candidate, and so they know which age group is going to appeal to, religion, income bracket, even occupation, of course, political orientation, and then the education and gender. So So they're very skillful at that, and then they get these polls back, and of course it's completely biased, to begin with, and then of course the answers, are going to come in favor of that candidate. So polls are really tricky in that way. And then here's 3, reader awareness is important. Okay, how much will readers know about the problem, question, or issue you intend to address? What is their likely attitude? So that's important, right? When you're in academics, you can use vocabulary that is very scholarly. That's fine. If you were to take your thesis and you wanted to present it in not even in an academic journal, but in a magazine format, you would have to change some of that language, because the general audience is just not going to take time to go back and look up the definitions of words. So you need to be very strategic in how you word something. Academically, it's not going to be as long as you can support what you're saying with some evidence, and also maybe if you're using an acronym or an abbreviation, you want to make sure you're spelling that out. So we will look at that later on as you look into some of the actual formatting. But as far as terminology, you can get away with using very highbrow, if you will, terminology in academics. So it's just, we're here to learn, and as professors, we learn a lot from students who bring this to the table as well. You'll talk about topics, and you'll use terminology that will educate us. So that's fine here, but in other settings, you have to be very careful about the language that you use, because people, it'll be an instant turnoff. If you use a term that they're not familiar with, a little switch turns off. They'll block you out. Okay. What do you care about? Why do you care about this topic? So that's very important. You have to include that in your thesis, why you care about this topic. What makes you a credible writer on behalf of your position? So here we get into this ethos part of it. And then, well, what is the best reason you can give your readers for doing what you want them to do? Stated as a sentence. Do you have a second reason in mind? So good. So you might build upon that reason with other reasons. And then, what additional ideas do you have for appealing to your readers? What values and beliefs can you appeal to? So again, we talked about that. That's so important, and that of course gets into the pathos as well as the ethos part of your thesis. And then if your topic requires more than general knowledge and personal experience, what sources have you found to support your argument? So that of course that's when you get into your literature review and the literature that you're going to use to support your thesis. And what additional material might you need? And then Awaad talked about visual images. Those are always very nice, in charts and tables, and just like the diagram that the authors of this book used to emphasize the whole, the 3 appeals. So you could use devices like that as well. Okay. So any questions on this? Okay, good. All right, so appeal through ethos, presenting good character. All right, so ethos is self-presentation. In general, you should sound informed and engaged with your topic, show awareness of your readers' views. Okay, that's very important. Again, going back to they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And treat competing courses of action with respect, but show that your solution is better All right. So that's good. That's really makes your thesis strong when you can do that. So you want to show that competing, the opposition. As I was saying last week, a thesis is really a debate. It really is. So you want to present the opposing opinions, and then you want to convince or persuade the reader that your opinion, your position, your viewpoint is better. Okay. Refer to your values and beliefs, your own ethical choices. So that's where a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to be judged. Well, they're going to find out anyway. So you may as well be upfront with that and be transparent, because people will find out. They're going to know. Okay, so refer to your values and beliefs, your own ethical choices. Okay, when appropriate, reinforce your ethos by citing information and expert testimony from sources your readers respect and trust. So that's a good one too, right? You know that readers will respect certain people and their opinions on a topic. So you can use that to your advantage. You can use that as an in-text citation. So and so said, concerning this, and then you quote them, and then people, if it's a well-known source, well-respected source on that topic, then that builds upon the strength of your argument. Okay. All right. So good. Any questions on this? Any opinions? Is it clear? And did anything stand out to you?
No, Professor, all clear. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. All right, so how do we appeal for action? Questioning the rhetorical situation. So begin by picturing a rhetorical situation for your writing project, a real-world context for communicating. You should consider the key variables in any act of communication. A writer with something to say, a reader the writer wishes to reach, and a kind of text appropriate to the writing task. These three variables will affect many decisions in the composing process. Okay, so let's see. So let's see. Was this one here I have highlighted in blue? A reader the writer wishes to reach. What would be an example of this? You're putting together your thesis, and you have a specific reader in mind that you want to reach. Give me a topic and then an example of a reader who would be a good target for that, a good focus for that particular topic. I know that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rhoda.
One example could be the use of mobile banking. Can you hear me?
There's a lot of background in this one.
Yes, it's because I'm public transportation. I'm sorry for that. So I will just type it. I will type it.
Yes. Okay. And I'll read it. Yes. You type it, I'll read it. Okay. So while Rhoda's is typing that out, I know, Mansour, you talked. I know your focus is in sports management. I believe you said. So if you were going to be doing a topic on a specific area in sports, who would your readers, potential readers be in that? And I don't know, is it just you, Mansoor, specifically?
Uh, Thank you, Professor, for the question. Well, I haven't really thought about it yet, but yes, I can mention like a few group of people. First, the sportsman or woman
Mm-hmm.
in the country, because the thesis will include the challenges that they are facing and how what solutions can be provided to tackle those challenges. So yes, sports men and women, and also those business people that are involved in the sports sector.
Yep.
And yes, for now I can only remember these two groups.
Okay.
But yes, of course there will be more as well.
Yeah, very good. No, those are the two that I was thinking of as well. So the athletes, the sportsmen and sportswomen, and then of course the businesses, who are who have a vested interest in that sports. And then of course there's lots of different sports where we have football or soccer, and then we have track and field, we have gymnastics, swimming, rugby, just the list just goes on and on and on. Basketball, volleyball, just all of these different things, and there's specific audiences who care about that specific sport. So the audience who are focused on soccer or football would not be the same who are focused on gymnastics or swimming. Totally different. And so your focus would be on more narrow than broad, if you want to.
Yes, Professor, another group could be the authorities.
Yeah.
Responsibility. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very good. Yes. I think of the International Olympic Committee, right? The ones that make decisions on the Olympics and or World Games and things like that. So good, very good. So Rhoda's wrote here. She says the utilization of mobile banking in Addis Ababa. My target readers are fintechs and local banks. Okay, so so that is a hypothetical example. So good, yes, yeah. So when we're writing, we have a specific audience in mind, right? So a reader, the writer wishes to reach. Okay, so very good, excellent, very good, Otis. Thank you, Mansoor. Excellent. Then a kind of text appropriate to the writing task. So that's something that we want to keep in mind too, is that the text you want to be appropriate. You want to focus on the content is very, very important, not only in the target audience, but just the content itself, the context and content. Yes, Samya.
Yeah, so in the same context, Professor, like in my field in IT, we business analysts write user stories, and our audience are mostly like product owners. Then first product owner, and then once this story is refined, it's the next row, which is the developers who are developing this functionality and goes towards the QA. But actually, this piece of content is the main work, which is like needs to be done properly and written in a way that everybody understand it concisely, and it's like detailed enough for developers to develop it, and then really meeting all the business needs. So that's where this kind of situation goes for us, that we write in a way that is detail oriented and really catching the focus of our audience, and so that they are understanding it as a main need and requirement, and then moving forward in developing that and testing it and so forth.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like that. So the message evolves throughout the process because you're hitting different. Very, very good. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I've never been part of that process. That sounds like is that part of a Scrum? Uh,
Um, I mean, it is all like when we say software development, it is always the process where whichever strategy or methodology we are following, waterfall or agile or Scrum, but it's always the process that that user story, no matter how it is written on a tool or a Word document or wherever, but the process remains same. That product owner is reviewing and then moving to developers and QA.
Very good. Very good. And good. So that's actually a very good example of how you're using persuasive writing, even in that process. And then so good, very good, very good. I know that can be excuse me, iterative as well, right? So you didn't quite persuade someone, and they're thinking, no. We're not going to move forward with that, and so then that's that whole agile approach where there's a iteration. It isn't linear necessarily.
Um, no, it's like some way it's persuading, right? I mean, when
Mhm.
I as a BA writing that user story and catching attention of product owner, I'm
Mhm.
technically like persuading him towards those requirements, and then product owner is persuading developers to develop this functionality as a business need. So
Mhm.
somewhere like persuasion is definitely there from the each team member to persuade other, and then developers are persuading QA to test it in a way it is like developed or the user story is written. So I mean, some way this persuasion is going.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And you have your shareholders and your board of trustees. They have to be persuaded to invest the money. That's very good. I like that. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Mansoor. Thank you, Rodas. Good. Very good. All right, let's see where we are here. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the text. I do want to go ahead and okay, go ahead and share. Okay, so there's some more content here. There's so much in a textbook, right? There's no way we can put it all, but there are some good. When should you persuade? So here's a good one to go back and look at. Pay close attention to what your course assignments call for, because the full range of persuasive appeal is not always appropriate. The more purely intellectual your topic and the more academic your audience, the more you should emphasize logical appeal. That was what I was talking about earlier, right? Or making a good case. A clear thesis supported by good reasons and background, um, uh, uh, and backed by solid evidence is usually what professors want. So you definitely learned that this one, right? I was trying to be persuasive, and let you know that the Legos part of your thesis is going to have a greater impact in academia. It's just the way it is. And then okay, so good. So that's on page 251. Okay, and then let's see here. So then they give some good examples here, right? So here's that diagram, and then there, for example, to save money for other reasons, Americans are looking for alternatives to cars. One of these alternatives is motorcycles or a scooter. suppose you were writing an essay entitled "Getting Around on Two Wheels," and then so then they talk about, they give great examples. So be sure to go through here so that you can look at these examples that they're providing here. There's just a really good content in this book, and of course then they give you case studies, and then they have these annotated deals here where you can look at how they've analyzed some of these papers here. And then here, thinking as a writer, what is the rhetorical situation? And then here, just some great information there as well. Good, great editorials, examples. Okay, so just some really good, I guess, good content in here in these books. And then here, collaborative activity. These are some of the activities. Sometimes I take our discussions are built on some of these activities that the textbook suggests. So just keep that in mind. I do tend to focus on that as much as I can. And then what can I write about? So here, I didn't include this in the lecture, but this is really good too. If you're still kind of, I'm not really sure. Just go through this little section here, and there's so many different topics that you can be passionate about. And sometimes just doing the research, you will develop an opinion about some topic, and then you'll want to support that in the thesis. Okay. And then here it goes into details about who your reader is, what moves can I make, okay? And then that of course goes into the character and the emotion. And here, and we covered that. And then preparing to write, okay? Again, some great tips for writing, and talk about strategies for appeals. Okay, so good. So let's take a look, and that's chapter 11 of the Engaging Questions textbook. It's just filled with some great content, and there's no way we would have to have a 3-hour lecture or 4-hour lecture to get through all of it. It's just really good stuff here. Okay, so all right, and then it talks about drafting your paper. Okay, all right, okay, so good. So let's go back, and I want to go back to the presentation again, and we're going to go to the beginning, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Okay. Then we go ahead and this. Okay. Right there. Okay, so in this last few minutes, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and repeat some of this. So everyone has worked through the first 2 weeks of content very well. So good, and I apologize if I haven't responded to your discussion post yet, but please be sure to reply to each other. It's so important as peers to do that, and it will. What you're doing in this discussion post is practicing your art of persuasion. Okay, you're practicing this skill. You're going to be able to respond, to pose your feedback and critique, and give a very critical reading of discussion posts and reply and respond accordingly. So right now, critiquing an argument is a discussion. You should have read through, or should be reading through chapter 9 of engaging questions, and you should be working on that week 4 discussion, arguing serious issues, and then reading chapter 6 of the Compositions Essentials Handbook and chapter 10 of engaging questions, and then persuasive argument discussion. You should be working on that eventually once you've made your way through this, and then looking at chapter 11 as we just did through this lecture. Go ahead and make sure you read through that, and then the next discussion is evaluating, and then go ahead and read ahead in chapter 12, writing and evaluation. Okay, so that's where you want to be at this time. Also, I think everyone has their one-on-ones scheduled. Some of you have probably already had that, and just make sure you're taking the feedback that you're getting when you're in those one-on-ones, and try to bring some topics that you want to explore. Maybe ahead of time, send maybe the first few pages of your draft, if you have that now. If you don't, maybe send a link to some resources you want to use to get some feedback. Is this good? Is this a viable, a credible resource? Is this something that I could use to support? If you have ideas like, well, I think I want to include some caricatures, or you want to include some graphics, so you can share that with us. Anything and everything that has to do with your thesis. If you're stuck, you hit writer's block, which has happened, you can share that with us, and then we'll try to work through that as well, and get you past those sticking points. I like to write books, a lot of fiction and nonfiction, and I have been stuck on a couple of books for years now. I just can't get past. There's some kind of a mental block there that will not let me get past those books, and I've completed other books that are started after those books, but I try to go back to those, and it's just something there that's just really blocking me mentally with those. So that will happen, and sometimes you might need to change the focus of your thesis. When that happens, maybe it's just you're just not as engaged with that as you thought you might be, and then so look at a different focus on that same topic. Maybe that would help. Just narrow it down. Maybe it's just too broad, and just too much to manage in a thesis. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Is that good? Okay, very good.
Professor, sorry, I have been lacking really following the thesis because I was added a little later in the thesis course. So I think I'm lacking the ask there, that initially there was a discussion needed, and I think for second week also. So when is this third one due? I think I will just complete everything all together.
Yeah, you can complete everything all together. There's no timelines on it. As long as it's done, before you're defending your thesis, because you don't want to have all that stuff on your brain, right? And when you're focused on getting that thesis ready for your defense. So yeah, there's no late or anything like that on these discussions and the essays. Just
Okay.
work at your own pace. Okay. I'm not. Yeah, the focus for this course is your master's thesis. So I know I don't. I'm not concerned about when you finish the discussions, stuff like that. Okay. Good question. Good question. All right. Uh, Professor Awaad, do you have anything that you would like to add before we end today?
No, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Good. Excellent. Okay. So good. So we'll in a few minutes early today. Great discussions. Great participation. I think that you're all going to do quite well on your thesis. I can't wait to read them, and they're going to be very good. You're working professionals. You're experts in your field, and this is. I know that Professor Awaad would agree that we're looking forward to learning a lot from you. So, we get into teaching in higher education because we like to learn. It almost seems like almost seems ironic, right? But it's true. Professors are really here because we like to learn. We learn a lot from teaching and, of course, the research that we do on the side. So thank you so much for bringing so much to the table. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Be safe out there, and reach out, of course, if you have questions. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Okay. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you, Professor. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.